This was genuinely the most depressing movie I have watched in a very long time. Now, of course, I'm talking about All of Us Strangers, the brand new film from Andrew Hai. Now, I've never seen any of this man's movies. I haven't seen anything he's made. This is the first time I've seen a film from his, and this is the last major film from 2023 that I had yet to see. I was a little bit late on this one, but they finally put it out on Hulu, and I have gotten to sit down and experience the film. Now, All of Us Strangers follows this man Adam, played by Andrew Fox, this writer who lives kind of a very lonely life, a very depressing, sad life where he just kind of lives on his own and he just looks very sad all the time. Now, he eventually meets Paul Mescal's character, a character named Harry, who is also another man who seems to be very, very lonely, and they sort of come together and spark a relationship. Now, through this relationship, Adam ends up sort of reconnecting with his parents, and that's really all I'm gonna say about this, because I went into this movie blind. I don't know how much the marketing of the movie tells you about the story, but I went in blind, so like, even the smallest reveals that happen early in the film, and also the big reveals that happen at the end, it all came as a very big surprise to me. And anybody that's planning on watching this movie and doesn't know anything about it the same way that I did, I don't want to spoil anything. So that's basically the main premise. It's about this man sort of discovering a new relationship and kind of reconnecting with old relationships and dealing with both the griefs and the traumas of all of that and sort of better understanding himself, in a way, I guess. Now, this is a movie that is very, very difficult to digest because it is a plot that is absolutely devastating and a story that is so clearly personal to whoever wrote it. Now, I don't know if this was adapted from a book or if this was just straight up written organically by the director here, but either way, whoever came up with this story was obviously extremely personal, and it was somebody who was trying to connect with their own emotions on certain losses that have to relate to stuff that happens in this movie. In saying that, I feel like this is a very hard movie to talk about, especially when it comes to a review, because I don't want to spoil anything here, like literally anything, but what I can say is this movie is extremely strong when it comes to how it depicts the emotional situations that this character Adam is put in. And one of the reasons it works so well is because the performances here are unbelievable, and I am stunned that neither of these performances got Oscar nominations. I'm sorry, but Ryan Gosling as Ken was not good as Paul Mescal in this movie, and you will not convince me otherwise. So I would have been okay if he squeezed in, but mainly the big performance here, which is unbelievable. Andrew Scott is so terrific here. He does so much with so little, and he really makes you feel so much in this movie. The amount of times I was nearly brought to tears just off facial expressions, little moments. So beautiful. He sells both the emotional state of this character, the thematical truth of like what he is and the things that the writer and the director here are trying to say, but he also sells the story and sort of the twists and turns in the story so well. His relationship with Paul Mescal is beautiful, but the relationship between him and his parents here and the way that he presents himself in these scenes, and like, I'm being very careful here not to spoil anything, but it's truly beautiful and remarkable. It's a piece of art. It's a real piece of art and a massive piece of work from Andrew Scott, and I'm stunned by it. And Paul Mescal, same thing. He doesn't have as large of a role here as he's had in many of the other things we've seen him in, but he brings a lot of that same spirit from something like After Sun, from that performance. Kind of this closed-off emotional vault of a character who you just kind of see the cracks of what he is and who he is sort of break through. This loving guy, but he's got sort of his own issues behind the scenes. Yet again, this is the hardest movie I think I've had to talk about. I'm not trying to spoil anything, because I think literally just the intentions of some of the characters in this movie spoils a lot of the plot. But there's one scene in particular later in the movie where Paul Mescal is just listening to Andrew Scott talk, and he does so much with his eyes. There's so much acting just in his eyes that depict this state of loneliness and sadness that was so perfect, and it's one of the best moments I've seen an actor do in quite some time. It was just such a beautiful moment, and really, Paul Mescal, wow, what a strong actor. This guy is going to have quite the career. Claire Foy, who plays the mom, brilliance. She's not in a lot of the movie as well. She's got like a little scenes here and there, but wow, what an emotional gut punch that character is. Jamie Bell, who plays the dad, so good. Just about everybody in this movie brings their A game, and they really help to sell what is such a tough script to sell. And I'm not saying tough like it's bad. No, this is a great script. It's just one of those scripts that if I had written this script, I would be terrified to show this to actors and try to get them to perform it the way that I imagine they would have visioned it, because it is such tough source material here. This is such a hard story to present the screen and for actors to have to embrace without, like, losing their fucking minds. It's devastating. It's absolutely devastating. And maybe a little too devastating. There is a moment in this movie where I started to think to myself that this movie is just bleak. It is just completely bleak and devoid of, like, any hope. Like, if you're really being honest here, by the time you get to the ending, that's all I really felt. But in its final moments, it kind of wrapped up sort of that feeling and kind of reminded me of, like, yeah, it's a little bleak, but there are glimmers of light in this story, kind of metaphorically and, yeah, kind of directly in the final scene here. There are glimmers of light that really represent something larger in our lives, that represent something larger in love, and I think the writing here and the way that it's presented is actually done really well. So although that bleakness does kind of drain the energy from the movie sometimes, and it just makes it, like, I'm just sitting there like, am I just supposed to be crying for an hour and 40 minutes? Is that the point of this? It does end up working in the end. By the way, cinematography in this movie is gorgeous. This is one of the best shot films you'll see out of the last year. It is a beautifully shot movie, specifically the lighting. The lighting in this movie is insane. Sometimes there are scenes that are supposed to resemble childhood, so the lighting and the colors are very warm and very vibrant, and then every other scene that's supposed to be kind of like this bleakness, this emptiness, this depression, it's really cold. The lighting is very distinctive to sort of get the characters shadowed in, like, their own little space, and it's just brilliant. It's really smart stuff that most viewers would probably just completely unnotice, but when you're really paying attention to small details in lighting and you see that the people behind the camera were putting that much detail in just the lighting and the coloring, and it adds so much to the plot and what you're supposed to feel, so I really appreciate that. It was extremely well done. The music here, brilliantly done. The music supervision was great. When they did use songs, they were used to their utmost perfection. It works really well. Specifically, the song that takes you into the credits I thought was beautifully timed, and it left an impact on me. It's one of the few times I just let the credits roll for a little bit. Just sat there in silence, or not in silence, but I sat there in darkness and listened to the music and the credits because I thought it was wonderful. Now, the one thing I will say about this movie is my experience probably would have been a lot better if I got to watch it in a movie theater. And I will say this about just about any movie that I have to watch at home. I hate watching movies at home when they're new. Like, when they're new movies, I feel like I should be getting to see them in theaters. Instead, I'm sitting here watching it in my bed, and it's just not the same experience. I'm easily distracted when I'm here by my phone, and I miss stuff, and it's terrible. And I have to go back and rewatch stuff over and over and over because I feel like I'm missing shit. When I'm in a movie theater, it's so much better. So please, 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 movie studios, give movies like All of Us Strangers that are amazing movies. I think this movie is like a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's widely accepted to be a great movie. Give them theatrical releases around the country, not just limited releases, because we want to watch these movies. But either way, this is a phenomenal, phenomenal film. It was well worth the wait. It probably, if I had made my top 30 list today from 2023, it probably would have been in the top 15. I don't know if it would have been in the top 10, because 2023 was absolutely insane, and although I really liked this movie is so devastating to watch. I almost relate it to something like Requiem for a Dream, even though Requiem for a Dream is a very different movie, and it's devastating for different reasons, but that movie is so bleak and so depressing that you almost never want to watch it again, because it's like, wow, it just makes you feel nothing but sadness, and this is kind of one of those movies. It just made me really depressed. And I'd love to talk about spoilers with it, so if you guys want to talk about spoilers in the comments, leave one down below. I can give you sort of my spoiler thoughts. I'm not going to make a spoiler video on this movie, but it's hard to talk about this one without getting into sort of the twists. I don't even know if it is a twist. It might have been in the marketing, but sort of the twists and turns of where the story goes. I don't want to spoil that for people who don't know what happened. But either way, I will give All of Us Strangers a 4.5 out of 5. It is a phenomenal, phenomenal movie. That's the video, guys. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next one.